Hello, this is Barry Hertz. I am the film editor and chief film writer for the Globe and Mail based in Toronto. I recently wrote my first book, Welcome to the Family, the explosive story behind Fast and Furious, the blockbusters that supercharged the world, available everywhere now. But today, I'm here to talk about another franchise dear to my heart, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto.
Welcome to episode 1890 of Toronto Mic'd, an award-winning podcast, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Fusion Corp's own Nick Iones. He's the host of Building Toronto's Skyline. And Mike and Nick, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd, to dive deep into the ongoing history of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. It is indeed Barry Hertz.
Well, I thought about the army. Dad said, son, you're fucking high. And I thought, yeah, there's a first for everything. So I took my old man's advice. 3 sad semesters. It was only 15 grand. Spinning bed, I thought about the army. I dropped out and joined a band instead.
Barry, I love this song. I don't even want to bring it down, but it is excellent to see you again.
Oh, great to be here. I love this song too. I kind of wish we could just listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I can. Like, it's my show, Barry.
Yeah, that's true.
I can do it. There was a wonderful little effect on your mic. It's like at first it didn't pick you up, and then it kicked in. I might have to check out these microphones. I don't want to miss a syllable you say. But I loved this song when it was fresh and new. I loved this song, and then it was amazing to hear it as part of the Nirvana, the band universe. And we're going to spend some time because I consider you the residential, you're the expert, right? For how long have you been following these guys and their journey as Nirvana, the band?
You know, I think I've been following them for, probably about 15 years or so. I don't know. I feel like almost ever since the web series came into existence in 2007. I mean, I wasn't talking to them back then, but I was an admirer from afar. And it wasn't a few years later, once I had a position of authority where I could expound upon subjects of my desire, I would be writing about them. Yeah.
So you were an early adopter.
First generation adopter.
See,
yeah.
I'm a late adopter. Like, I'm not ashamed to say. I kind of heard about this thing, and people would tell me, Mike, you'd actually really like this thing. But it was, I don't know, it was kind of hiding over there, and I never really got to it. And then it was actually you, and you were the movie. So my introduction to Nirvana, the band, is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Right.
And it was you who I got to know because you visited in November 2025. But you've been hyping this thing up. So when was the first time you saw the film Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie?
Well, I'm very happy and proud to say that I was there for the world premiere. Oh, there, my mic sounds better now.
Yeah, you know what? That mic, I might have to swap out mics at some point. That mic has been used since 2012.
Oh.
And it's been just working effectively and awesomely for 1,800 plus episodes. And here we are. I'm listening to it kind of come in and out. I'm like, I might have to replace that microphone.
All good mics come to an end.
But now it sounds great. So,
It sounds great.
So
It
continue
sounds
that thought, and I'll keep an ear on it.
Okay, good. So I was there for the world premiere of the film, which happened at the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas, in the spring of 2025.
March 9th, I believe.
March 9th. There you go. You got it.
A little homework, just a little bit.
Good. So I had known about this film for a while. After Blackberry had come out, which was director Matt Johnson's previous film, the conversation was around what they were going to do next. And right off the bat, he was like, I want to make a Nirvana, the band, the show, movie. And I was like, amazing. That sounds crazy. I'm not quite sure how you're going to do that. Go with God. Good luck.
Right.
And then several years kind of went by, and one plan to make this movie kind of came and fell apart, and they reconstituted themselves. I went to the set, so much as there is a set for this movie.
The city of Toronto.
I was in the city of Toronto, but no, they have
Queen Street.
Yeah, they have a house, or they had a house where some of this movie, a good chunk of this movie takes place in Parkdale. And
is this Shaw and Queen?
It was shot off of King.
Okay, so there's the exterior then, because I have biked to see the house that exists like a little bit like north of Queen on Shaw.
So there's two houses, right? Okay. There's the house from the series, and then there's the house from the movie.
Okay.
So the house from the movie is just a place that they rented out off of King and Dufferin in Parkdale. And they tricked it out, and that's the interior of the the clubhouse, so to speak, of where they're hanging out. So I went to that set where the RV, which plays a huge part in the movie, was parked out front. Of course, at that time, this was in, I feel like the summer of 2024 is when this set visit happened, and at this point, I had no idea the significance of the RV until I stepped inside of it and they gave me a tour and I saw the flux capacitor.
Whoa.
And I saw just what they were doing. And I was like, whoa, okay, how is this going to come together? Flash forward to Austin in March of 2025. And I saw how it came together. And I was there at that world premiere with probably every other Canadian who happened to be in town that weekend, plus hundreds of Americans who had no idea what they were about to get into. And it was a generational screening. It was a seminal moment in my life. I am proud to say it. I've never laughed so hard. I've never seen an audience go so deliriously nuts for a movie.
You can say ape shit on this.
Can I? They went ape
you
shit.
Want to say ape shit.
I'm just trying to, I'm trying to be polite.
But Barry, this is why I only thought of one person. Obviously, I should get Jay or Matt maybe on the program, which I'm working on. Yeah. I am going to do that, of course. But again, so I only recently discovered what's going on with this Nirvana, the band, and I saw the movie, and I have more questions about your initial viewing of the movie, but I'm just going to set the stage by saying I was blown away by this film, and then I've subsequently gone back, and we'll talk later about the two series that predate the movie, but I am like head over heels in love with this whole project, enterprise, this concept. Mm-hmm. And you were my first thought when I said I need somebody over to just talk about the ongoing history of these guys, and you were my first thought because of how you hyped this film. And I follow you on Blue Sky, but elsewhere in Globe and Mail, of course. But you hyped this film to a point where I had anticipation to see it, and I thought my expectations were going to be too high and I'd be disappointed, but actually completely blown away. I can't tell you how much I love Nirvana, the band.
This is amazing to hear, because when you're in my position and I am hyping it up and I'm building it up and I'm saying it was one of the greatest screening experiences of my life, and I'm telling my wife this, and like you're nuts.
Yeah, it sounds like you joined a cult.
It's no. Many people have asked, like, do you have an equity stake in this film's success? And I was like, no, I only have a stake in so much in the success of any Canadian artist who I find exciting, and I find these guys just so exciting.
It's so exciting, but so funny. But what I loved, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about that initial viewing, but I love how like unabashedly Toronto this film is. And I know there are a bunch, we can talk about a bunch, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and we could talk about, we can go back to Going Down the Road, and we can talk about some great Toronto films, but I feel like this one is like over the top Toronto.
Yeah.
Like if you know the streets of Toronto and you know these landmarks and you and I know them intimately, but it's so Toronto. I often wonder, how would this film play? This is my thought. I only know my Toronto brains seeing this movie in Toronto. How do these guys play outside of Toronto?
Well, I think they've really turned Toronto into something of an exotic locale. Like this is now like Toronto to Americans, I feel, who have been exposed to this movie suddenly think it's like Tokyo. It's like this magical city full of mystery and fun, and
like New York,
hijinks.
right?
So,
we all grew up with New York films.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about the way it is so Toronto, it's explicitly Toronto, but at the same time, it remixes Toronto. It does not have a fidelity to the geography of Toronto necessarily. I'm thinking of the scene where they're crashing outside of the old City TV building.
Oh, $2.99.
Yes, and suddenly right across the street is the Paradise Cinema. Of course, anybody would know that is not the case,
right?
And this is kind of goes into their history of mixing things to their pleasure. We see the RV cruising down. It looks like Queen Street across into Leaside there for a moment, and then suddenly we're on Bay Street going north. So if you're paying attention, it's like it is this fantasy land. But I think that goes in keeping with the spirit of the show, which treats reality as something of a malleable concept.
So how did the Americans watching this on March 9th, 2025 at the South by Southwest, how did they react? Was it just the Canadians all hooping and hollering?
I mean, the Canadians were certainly hooping and hollering. And I mean, there was people who had worked on the film in the audience. There was people from the distributor. There was producers. There was, everybody who was associated with this film was there. But at the same time, that's still like only a small kind of chunk of that audience. And everybody, American, Canadian, whatever nationality, they were going nuts. Yeah, I think some of the jokes went over better with the Jean Gomeshi joke. Sight gag, of course, would be. I mean, that hit for me in my row where I was sitting with a bunch of Canadians.
Was so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we were losing our minds. I think the raccoon joke probably hit better with Canadians than maybe but at the same time,
or even like an idea of what is now.
Like, what is
now doesn't exist in this way.
I mean, there's like that sense of recognizability, but people could say like, oh, this was like an alt. People are familiar with the concept of an alt weekly, I feel. So they, so it was.
But they might not have that, that extra layer of like, okay, today you can't go downtown and pick up a copy of Now.
There you go. No, and the City TV truck in the wall gag, I mean, that hit harder for Canadians for sure. But I feel like the other thing is like Americans, like they're just curious. It's like an object of fascination because aside from like a Scott Pilgrim, and if you want to go back to like, I don't know,
What's the Don McKellar movie where it's the
Last
end of
Night?
Last Night. See,
Yeah.
I was sitting beside him at at the Paradise. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was the Paradise. It was the Paradise. It was a West End Phoenix event where they got members of the newsroom, the CBC.
Oh, like you were at the Ken Finkelman thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because as the VP knows, because VP and he's a member of the FOTM cast crew, also a big Nirvana the band, the show. I never know what to call them. Is it Nirvana the band, and then the show is called Nirvana the band, the show, and then the movie is called Nirvana the band, the show, the movie?
Yeah, I mean, they refer to themselves when they're trying to book the gig at the Rivoli. They're like, we're Nirvana the band.
Right.
And then they have the show. And now they have the movie that's based on the show.
I got a whole bunch of nerd out questions since I only discovered this, but to finish the VP thought is that we have been trying to get Ken Finkelman on Toronto Mike because I had Jeremy Hotz over here and we dove into this. We dove pretty deep into the newsroom, of course, of Jeremy, and it was kind of fascinating to hear about Ken Finkelman. And then I had Colin Brunton on, who wrote for the newsroom, and he told some stories about Ken Finkelman, which were kind of mind-blowing. And I realized then and there, I need Ken Finkelman in this basement. But we struck out, man. We couldn't do it. And then this Dave Bedini character somehow digs up Finkelman, gets him on stage, and I'm in the... It was just so surreal.
You should have just pulled out your mic right then and there. It's like, subterfuge.
Well, I almost asked a question because it was suggested, and this is a quick divergence here. We're talking... The newsroom, though, very Toronto, I feel.
Yeah, very Toronto, very Toronto.
And excellent, right?
Yeah. Well, I have my favorite Ken Finkelman fact. You probably have this trivia. He wrote Airplane too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because I had in the listenership will remember Andrew Stokely, who actually recommended the microphone that might be breaking live on Toronto Mike. Thank you, Andrew Stokely. It only lasted 14 years. What did I expect for my $300 plus tax? It only lasted 14 years. But Stokely worked on that film, and we dove into that in one of the first 10 episodes of Toronto Mike. But long-winded way of saying, we were sitting beside Don McKellar at this newsroom event. And I was thinking about that. It's Sandra Oh, right?
In Last Night,
Yeah.
walking by the streetcar.
Right.
Yes, yeah, that is.
But I
the
was thinking
famous
about
image.
great Toronto films that are unabashedly Toronto, and you realize like most Toronto films pretend to be somewhere in America or something.
I mean, yeah, they do. There's a small but sturdy roster of explicitly Toronto movies. Last Night, obviously, Cronenberg's Crash is
Yes.
another one
That's
is
a good
very
one.
much Toronto. Videodrome. I mean, a lot of the
Cronenbergs.
The
Yeah.
Shrouds recently. Very mid Toronto, the most mid Toronto film I've ever seen because it's very young and Eglinton heavy. They name check United Bakers dairy restaurant, favorite hangout for my Jewish parents. But in terms of like wide exposure,
Yeah.
for Americans, Scott Pilgrim is probably the key text.
right, because Americans actually watch that movie.
Yeah. Well, it was from a big American studio and
Right.
starring a bunch of Americans. Although
Great film.
Michael
though. I
Cera
gotta say,
represent.
I love that movie. I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I mean, it was fun, and it was great to have that moment. For a movie to take place at Casa Loma and also call it Casa Loma,
Right.
that's no small thing.
Because there's a lot of I went to Casa Loma for episode 1800 of Toronto Mic'd, and we recorded live there. And then I did a thorough tour. They have posters. There's a place
I'm
by the
sure.
cafeteria with everything, cocktail, like X-Men. Like there's so many things filmed there. But that's like the only movie, right, where it is Casa Loma can play Casa Loma.
Yeah. No other film. Maybe the Nirvana sequel will go there, or maybe it was just too obvious of a Scott Pilgrim.
Will there be a
reference.
sequel?
Good question. You'd have to ask Matt and Jay about that.
Do they take your calls?
They return my emails.
Well, they see globeandmail.com or whatever your email is, and they say, we better return this.
Oh, I don't. They also might be sick of me. They're like, oh god, this guy again.
No, they love it. Hey, so obviously I'm excited. Jumped out of the gate talking about. I saw your T-shirt. I got very excited. I kind of dove into it. But we're actually going to go a little more chronological. This is all like preamble because I want to remind the listenership. You listeners have met Barry Hertz before. Okay, November 2025. So what is that, like less than 6 months ago? It was episode 1798 of Toronto Mic'd, and here's what I wrote at the time. Mike chats with Barry Hertz, the deputy arts editor and film editor for the Globe and Mail. And I told you at the time that is a big title.
It's a mouthful.
But it's prestigious. Like I would reply to an email from that title.
Oh, thank you. I
Doors
plan to
are
put
flying
that on
open
my
for you,
tombstone.
Barry.
Yes.
Okay, if you put it on your tombstone, make sure that this funeral happens at Ridley Funeral Home, okay?
I will die from eating too much Palma's pasta. So.
Oh, well done. Did you enjoy your Palma pasta from
Oh my
your
gosh,
first
it
visit?
fed my family for like 3 nights.
It's a
amazing.
lot. Eh?
Yeah.
It's delicious. And I have another one for you.
Excellent. I was planning my dinner this week around that.
Well, you can rely on me to get you your Palma Pasta lasagna. Shout out to Palma Pasta. And I know I shouted out Ridley Funeral Home, but I do have another measuring tape.
Oh,
for you,
good. My
Barry.
kids will have fun with this.
See all these ad mentions in the middle of my description I'm reading. So while I'm doing it, I'll just quickly tell you that I also have fresh craft beer for you from Great Lakes Brewery.
Thank you. I would dive into it, but it's not 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay, so I just named your big title, and then the rest of this description reads like this. About his life, writing about movies, particularly the Fast and the Furious franchise, documented in his new book, Welcome to the Family, the explosive story behind Fast and Furious, the blockbusters that supercharged the world. The only thing bigger than your title is the title of that book. The only thing longer. So we had a great chat, but how has... I mean, now I guess it's not a new book anymore, but you did make the rounds. Like I was seeing Barry Hertz pop up here, there, and everywhere talking about Fast and Furious. What was that like to be a part of like that book launch rush?
It was surreal. It was weird to be on the other side of that media subject divide. And I would like to have said that I was prepared for it because I'd been the interviewer on many, many occasions, but it was a weird experience, but it was fun. It was great. It got great coverage. It was great for you to have me on here. That was really nice. And yeah, people have been really kind and generous toward the book. So I'm just happy that it's out there now in the world.
It is out there in the world. People can get. I would read it again, but I don't have that kind of time. Maybe I will.
Fair
It's called
enough.
Welcome to the Family, the explosive story behind Fast and Furious, the blockbusters that supercharged the world. Okay, so because we had a rapport from your November 2025 visit, I was thinking I was going to break into the army. Have you thought about it? Dad said, son, you're fucking high. Love that song. Okay, but I was thinking of you when I had this idea. I need to talk. I need to get it out. I need to ask questions. I need to learn more.
Cathartic experience.
So let's go back, though, and see how much you know. Because, of course, Nirvana the band is Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll. Do you have any idea of how these two got coupled up to play fictionalized versions of themselves in the initial series, which was a web series from 2007 to 2009? How did these two get hooked up? Do you know?
Well, these guys are old high school friends from Mississauga. I believe, if I'm getting my origin story right, it was Jay's girlfriend at the time who connected the two. So, I mean, they have known each other for, their teenage years onward. This is a true, this is about as lifelong a friendship as you can kind of hope for in the industry.
That's like Paul McCartney and John Lennon, high school buddies.
Exactly. They are the Beatles of Canada.
Well, I consider them that for sure. So they're longtime friends. And do you know where this premise comes from? Because everything hooks around Nirvana the band performing at the Rivoli.
I'm not sure where the exact, they'd always, the Rivoli was like an object of fascination. Sure. Kids in the Hall, I think, was kind of a key text in the 100%. Inspiration there. But at the same time, it was a joke that, anybody can, it's not Massey Hall. It's, anybody can really get in there if they want to. So the kind of the try hardness of it was part of the joke in and of itself.
On that note, I am headlining at the El Macombo on May 21st.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like, because it is funny that the premise is sort of like, we'll play the Rivoli, but literally you book the night and you cut a check.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, that was the comedy of the moment. But still, the Rivoli is such a Queen West institution. It's probably been there. I can't think of another place on that strip that has been there for that long. The Black Bull is gone.
Well, the Horseshoe Tavern is there.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But that'll be my next one-man show. Will be at the Horseshoe Tavern. But the Rivoli, I remember one night biking home on Queen Street, and I passed the Rivoli, and there was a lot of like lights there, like something was being filmed there, and I later found out that like Neil Young was playing there that night, and they were filming it. Like
at the Rivoli, not the Horseshoe?
It was at the Rivoli.
Oh, interesting. I would have pegged the Horseshoe for him.
Yeah, well, this was at the Rivoli. And the you mentioned the Kids in the Hall. I'm a big fan of Kids in the Hall, of course, as well. And I was on the phone. Here, I'm dropping names. That's what we do in Toronto, Mike. But last night I got a call, and the phone said Tom Wilson. So I'm like, oh, the unofficial mayor of Hamilton is calling. I got to get it. And he explained that I can't visit tomorrow. He said he was experiencing some bouts of vertigo. He says, I'm getting old. We had a good chat. This is Tom Wilson from Junk House. In case there's lots of Tom Wilsons out there, including a Tom Wilson who plays Biff.
That's the Tom Wilson
because
I know.
You're thinking about that. Yeah. I'm looking at your shirt. You're thinking of that RV there.
Yeah, there you go.
Back to the Future. But this is Tom Wilson from Junk House. And I explained to Tom, I said, Tom, you're not in the calendar for tomorrow. Like, he wasn't even booked. He was explaining he can't be here today, but the only recording of Toronto Mike today is the great Barry Hertz talking about Nirvana, the band, the show.
Vertigo free.
Yeah. But then in this convo, he said, I said, hey, Tom, I'm in Hamilton Friday night. I'm going to go see this, It's a Good Life If You Don't Weaken, this musical set to the music of the Tragically Hip. I'm taking my daughter. We're going to go on Friday. I said, I'm in your city on Friday. He goes, Mike, I'm going to be there. Make sure we chat it up. And he goes, have you met my friend, Bruce McCullough? And I go, he was in my calendar 3 times, and he kept making weird excuses, and I gave up. But I really wanted Bruce on Toronto Mike. And Tom has said, his dear friend Bruce, he's going to make Bruce come over and sit in my basement for 90 minutes. So you mentioned Kids in the Hall. Yeah, pretty much. He's done that for Kathleen Robertson from 90210 fame.
Yeah.
And he tells me, I only found this out yesterday, because Colin James was on years ago, and he was great. But I actually thought it was Eric Alper who wanted me to have Colin James on, because Eric Alper was doing some PR work for Colin James. And it was revealed to me yesterday on the phone during this conversation with Tom Wilson from Junk House that Colin was not sure about visiting some South Etobicoke basement. And Tom said, just do it. And he did it. So I'm giving Tom Wilson credit for the Colin James visit.
And potential Bruce McCullough.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Who knows?
Apparently I'm going to meet Bruce on Friday, and I want all the kids in the hall in this basement. I only have 2 so far.
Who you've had Scott?
I've had Scott.
Okay.
And Scott, I think I'm going to get again, actually. Scott was unbelievable, and I had Kevin.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Gotta get Dave down here.
Well, apparently he's the toughest one.
Not surprising to hear. Not surprising.
I think, at that aforementioned, I know we're going to get back to Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, but at that aforementioned newsroom event at the Paradise, I spent like 12 minutes right beside Mark McKinney.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go.
I did not want to, he was there with, I think it was his wife, a woman. He was there to see this newsroom thing. And I didn't want to be that guy who's like, hey, big fan, come to my basement in South Etobicoke. I just left him alone, but I did spend time right beside him.
You never know what's going on in those guys. He could have known you, and he's like, is this guy going to ask me, or I'm going to just have to sit here like a sad sack,
I've heard that story. I know more than once that I will reach out to somebody, just didn't want to bother you, but I would love to have you on. They're like, I was waiting for you to ask me. So here we are, back to Nirvana the band. So these are high school buddies from Mississauga. Do you know what high school?
Oh gosh, not off the top
I got to get
head.
Matt
You
Johnson
got it?
and Jay McCarroll on this show.
Okay.
So what do you know about the web series? So I took a little note here to set the table for you that it was 11 episodes from 2007 to 2009. What do you know about this web series?
Yeah, so I mean that was produced by them out of not the Queen Street house that would come in later for the Viceland series, but the apartment that we see in the movie Back in Time, also off of Queen Street. So these episodes were, again, like sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, all involving some harebrained scheme, usually originating from the Matt character, about getting the band to play the Rivoli, and it would always result in chaos. And they were filmed, very frugally, and they are also now today not so easy to find. You can, if you are resourceful on the internet. They did put out a DVD of all those episodes many years ago. My good friend and colleague Natalie Atkinson has this DVD, and she graciously loaned it to me recently so I could revisit it. And it is actually jam-packed with special features, with commentary. Like, for a web series that was produced for almost nothing many years ago, they really did have legacy in mind at the time, let's say. Yeah.
Very interesting. My question is regarding the name Nirvana, the band. Okay. Anybody who knows the series now and watch the Viceland series, which we'll get to, or watch the movie, knows there's spelling Nirvana with 3 N's in it. Okay. So Nirvanna. But am I right that in the beginning it was just spelled like Nirvana?
Just one N. It was the same spelling as Nirvana for the web series. I believe when they got the Viceland deal, there was some legal concerns that we just need to make this a little bit more separate from the.
I'm no lawyer, Barry.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that's not enough. Like if they're like, I don't think that would, make it somehow.
They have a very good copyright lawyer based out of Los Angeles who's helped walk them through a lot of these problems. I'm not sure if he was involved in it at that point in time, but if it was good enough for Viceland, it was good enough for the judicial system.
Also, I don't know who owns it now. Like, I don't know who owns it. I know Courtney Love may have sold.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I don't know. Like, if it was the people, then I'd be like, oh, they're not gonna it's bad PR to go after these 2 hilarious indie people from Toronto or whatever. And it's not like anybody is going to confuse Nirvana with Nirvana the band.
I mean, I have heard anecdotal evidence of people walking into the movie thinking it was some kind of documentary about Kurt Cobain, or at least maybe during the film festival run. But they walked out with a new appreciation for a different band altogether. It doesn't erase Kurt Cobain's legacy, although maybe in 10 years we'll be talking more about these 2 guys than we will about Kurt. I don't know.
Yeah, if they missed that 3rd N in Nirvana, then they could be quite the screw up here. I was watching the Viceland series, which we'll get to in a bit, but I did see there's an episode where when they are in Now magazine, and it says Nirvana, like it just says Nirvana, but it's spelt like the Kurt Cobain band. And,
I mean, I'm just chuckling remembering that that Now magazine episode. So.
All right, shout out to Now Magazine. A guy, what's the guy from CP24 who bought the branding? Brandon Gomez.
It's Gomez Media.
Yeah, so he's got the logo basically and the domain name, but it is a pale shadow of its former
It ain't
self.
what it used to be. I also know, of course, a lot of former now writers and editors who were particularly aggrieved, rightfully so, in my opinion, about that whole situation.
Well, it's Sumi?
Glenn Sumi
was pretty public with his public writing about how they did a lot of work at the end there without getting paid.
And my friend and colleague Radian Simon Pillai was also, can we say screwed on the air?
Say fucked if you want.
Wow.
Barry.
Okay. Well,
actually, it's in the Army. Dad said, "Son, you're fucking high."
There you go. He was fucking screwed, from my understanding of that whole situation. So.
Yeah, I think also the great Norm Wilner was
yes, Norm as well. I mean, and now we're it is for all intents and purposes non-existent except for in Nirvana the band, the show, the movie.
Right. Okay, so they do this web series from 2007 to 2009, which I completely missed. I have already been full of shame. I've already declared the fact I'm new to this phenomenon. So you were there. So you were watching the 11 episodes on the web?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching them, I guess, on the web. I mean, they were broadcast on linear Viceland television. I was probably watching them.
Oh, that first the one from 2007.
Oh, the web series. No, sorry. The web series was web only. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead to the Viceland series.
We're going to get there, but there's a decade almost between the two here. So I've got questions here. So you're there for the web series in 2007 to 2009?
I mean, I'm watching it as it's going on. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm going to live precariously through you. So, okay. So what happens because they end that web series, only 11 episodes, but 2009 is when they post the last episode there. And then it comes back, the Viceland series, which we'll talk about now, 16 episodes from 2017 to 2018. So what's going on between 2009 and 2017? Is this project just dormant?
I mean, they were busy making movies. The Dirties, which is Matt Johnson's feature directorial debut, which is about a school it's a comedy about a school shooting, in the kind of similar mockumentary form. It was quite the firebomb of a movie when it initially came out. I believe it premiered at Slamdance, which is or was the Sundance competitor, and it was almost immediately championed by Kevin Smith, who
already loved Degrassi,
so he has a Canadian connection, yeah, of course, and I think he slapped his name across it as an executive producer, helped get it out into the world. So that made the rounds. Then there was Operation Avalanche. You'll have to fact check me on the year that came out. This was at least, I feel this is 2016, 2017. And that is another kind of found footage mockumentary type. Found footage is the wrong word, but a mockumentary type thing about a team faking the moon landing, and it involved Matt Johnson and his filmmaking team gaining surreptitious access to NASA headquarters because they said they were just there to film. I don't know. I forget the exact story, but it's a wild story in and of itself.
Right.
And while this is all going on, the idea of making a full-fledged series is brewing, and then enter Viceland.
Okay, so you mentioned this film debut, directorial debut of Matt Johnson, and it's so I haven't seen it, but it's a humorous approach to a school shooting. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's basically like Matt Johnson plays another kind of Matt Johnson-y character who is walking the camera through this plan to execute a school shooting alongside another character named Owen, who's played by a close associate, and it kind of has to be seen to be believed.
Well, this, and astute listeners of Toronto Mike will remember that when the aforementioned Scott Thompson made his Toronto Mike debut, we went into pretty great detail about the horrific Brampton Secondary School shooting He was a student at the school. This is like one of the first school shootings in Canadian history. Luckily, we haven't had that many in this country. But this is in Brampton, late 70s, I believe. And Scott Thompson, his teacher was the target. And Scott is he's hiding in a room under a desk because there's an active shooting. And he cracks a joke. And Scott points to this moment as the moment he realized he wanted to go into comedy. He cracks a joke during an active shooting.
This is fascinating. I feel like we've stumbled into how a lot of Canadian artists have had career inflection moments involving school shootings. We're wading into dangerous territory.
Let's
here.
go.
But okay, we got the Scott example right now.
Right.
We've got the Matt Johnson example.
Right.
One of Denis Villeneuve's big breakthroughs, of course, was Polytechnique. The dramatization of the infamous Quebec school shooting.
Right.
I don't know if we should dig further into this,
No, but
3 makes a trend.
Wow. Okay. It's funny because, not funny, but in my one-man show at the Elmo, there is a reference to the Scott Thompson school shooting joke. Like in that, I've crafted this thing I'm going to perform on May 21st. People should go to torontomike.com and click Elmo gig and buy tickets because this is only happening once, and I have a very, very special closing by very special guests.
Interesting.
And of course, Rob Bruce, not Scott, but Rob Bruce will be on stage with me throughout this evening playing keyboards. He was with Spoons. He co-wrote Romantic Traffic.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, because speaking of Toronto, is there a more iconic Toronto video than the video for Romantic Traffic?
Oh,
because you see the red rocket. It's just filmed, and that actually is filmed guerrilla style. They didn't get a permit, I don't think. They were just hiding from the authorities, filming in the subway system, like Young and Bloor, etc. And that's sort of how I think Nirvana the band shoot all their stuff, right? I don't think.
Well, there is actually, a very famous episode of the Viceland series where they go into the subway system. So
right, okay. Well, this is all coming together: subways and school shootings, and this link, and also this Rivoli link, because you mentioned the Kids in the Hall, and how that applies to Matt Johnson's directorial debut, finding humor in the horrific chaos.
Yeah. Taking something dangerous and making it a little more dangerous.
Okay, wow, I'm taking notes over here. Barry, I'm glad we're doing this. Should I be recording this? This is a very profound.
We weren't. Oh, I thought none of this equipment is plugged in.
We're just having a chat here. Okay, so how does the Viceland series, this is 2017 to 2018, how does Nirvana the band, the show, the Viceland series come to be? Does Viceland approach the guys and say, you want to revisit this Nirvana the band?
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of around the time that Viceland was coming into existence at all. I remember going to talk with Spike Jones, who was like who billed himself as kind of the creative director of Viceland as a whole. And I went to go talk to him at the old Vice offices in Liberty Village. Right. And this was kind of like all big part of their vision of like entering the television market, which today, 10 years later, seems like the craziest thing you could do. And, remember there was that big partnership between Vice and Rogers Media,
of course.
Guy, the CEO, what was the guy's name? His first name was Guy, and he wore that leather jacket. And I'm just remembering that bit because I don't know if you saw the Rogers v. Rogers one-man show that was on at Crow's
No,
Theater.
but I heard so much about it because I produce a show for a guy named Joel Greenberg called Life in Stages, and we talked to who's the actor? Who's the guy who puts on the show? But I'll look that up while you keep talking here. But yeah.
Anyways, this was all part of like Viceland's, storming the beaches of Canadian television, and the Nirvana guys were able to kind of hook onto that. But the problem was like Viceland was like still kind of hard to access, hard to find. It wasn't, a mainstream cable network. I don't even know how you did access it on linear television.
Michael Healy is the champ's name.
Michael Healy is the playwright, of course.
Right.
Yes,
and he is the Tom Rooney. That's
Tom
right.
Rooney,
So Michael Healy wrote it, and then Tom Rooney starred in it. Both chaps have been guests on Life in Stages from Joel Greenberg.
Okay, so from Rogers v. Rogers to Nirvana versus Nirvana with one N. But yeah, so it had it made a real pop in certain corners of the culture. I remember they screened 3 episodes of the Viceland series at TIFF, I believe in 2016, before it kind of premiered, as part of the festival's primetime lineup, which is their television specific lineup. And I remember seeing those in the theater, and they got huge laughs from people who were there. There was actually some material that I don't think ever played outside of those TIFF screenings. That was like, I remember there was a great Piers handling joke that they made at one point. But eventually, flashing forward, Viceland kind of collapses. There was a 3rd season of the show that they were working on. It remains a mystery as to the final status of that 3rd season. It was always like, they always were saying like it's kind of partially produced, partially completed. And the rights finally, I believe, reverted. They were able to gain those rights back away from whatever, corporate entity Viceland had become. And, word on the street is that, these will be made available probably via, Neon, the film's U.S. distributor, and Elevation Pictures, the Canadian distributor. But we haven't had any word on that yet.
And you're talking about the unseen season 3.
Season 3 of
right.
Nirvana, the band, the show.
Okay, I got a news piece from August 2019, but actually I'm going to play a little clip from Nirvana, the band, the Viceland series, okay? I just dove in after seeing, so I saw the movie first, and then I'm going actually backwards, because I then dove into the Viceland series, and so many moments that make me laugh, but this little exchange here, I'm just going to play it, because I think this is the funniest thing in the world. Are you ready?
Well, all we need to do is we need to let the Rivoli know to expect Nirvana the band.
What do we do? Call the Rivoli from Now magazine? Oh, hey, it's supposed to say...
Call the Rivoli from Now magazine. We already did that. You see?
Oh, my God.
It's just a reverse.
We just got to break
You
into
just
Now
came
magazine.
up with it like as if it was nothing. You're incredible.
I thought you were going to say you're Kramer.
You're Kramer.
Actually, which one was Kramer?
I think I'm a bit more Kramer than you.
I mean, in the show. Was it the Jewish woman?
The guy who came in the door. Yeah.
Jerry, I need a pickle.
I think that's a litmus test. If you play that 30 seconds for somebody and they're indifferent to it, or they're like, I don't get it, I don't care, whatever, like maybe this isn't for them.
Yeah.
But if you can listen to that exchange, it just tickles my funny bone. The Jewish one. I don't even know who he's talking about, right? Is that George? Is that George's mom?
I mean, it's not Elaine. She's pretty much she's never coded as Jewish in the show.
No, because she's Dennis or whatever.
Yeah,
I think she's like, She's,
well, there's that one episode where she's dating who she thinks is a black guy, and he thinks she's Latina.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not Elaine, but whoever that is. But I love this description that he comes in the door and he's like, you got a pickle? And then they hit the notes, and they do that a lot. They bring in, and I don't know how they clear all that or whatever.
I mean, again, they have a very good lawyer. Fair use and parody laws are elastic in a way. But the great thing about the show and the movie and the web series and the whole enterprise is that it requires a unspoken dialogue with the audience, that exactly these million different cultural references of a certain generation that are being spoken without having to footnote it or name check it explicitly.
Right, like even was it Growing Pains or
Growing? Yeah, some of one of the episodes, like it has a Growing Pains parody in the opening title. I mean, one of the episodes of the Viceland series, it's a big riff on Indiana Jones and the origin of the hat, which I think is part of Last Crusade. You just kind of have to be in that. You kind of have to have grown up not alongside Matt and Jay, but in that same kind of funnel of pop culture.
Well, then that begs the question: is this a show for Gen X? I don't even think you're a millennial. Right?
I'm a millennial, I believe.
Older millennial, maybe.
I think older. I mean, I was born in '83, so.
Oh yeah, so you're an older millennial.
Yeah. So I mean, and they're about. I think they're a little younger than me, maybe, but not by much, like 2 or 3 years.
Just because it really does seem to nail some of these Gen X touch points.
Completely, like all the We Shop Wednesday stuff. It's if you grew up and you rented VHS movies, but you also then still were in a state of youth where you were also renting DVDs. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like the era.
Right. Can I play like 40 seconds of Matt watching Star Wars for the first time?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Star Wars!
A long time ago.
All right, MJ, sit back, man.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Whoa! No! What?
How you doing, you old pirate?
I hate you.
Episode 6, Jay.
You want to turn it off for like 1
Get your
second?
hand off me, dude.
I can't see.
Jay, are the lights on in this house?
Going to the country. Gotta get on. All right, I pulled a few clips knowing you were coming over, so I'm going to play one more.
Okay.
And then we're going to get back to it. And then eventually we'll get to the movie. And then I'll thank some sponsors and partners before I get to the movie. But heck, I'm glad you're here, man. I am loving this.
Matt! Yeah? Update day! What? New Wii titles. What? I'm in the bathroom. Update day for the Wii shopping channel. It's funny because normally they do it at midnight, but it's like 11. It's like 11:15. What time is it in Japan? Fucking turn that up. I love that grooving. What kind of music is that? Like a bossa nova beat? Makes me really want to just croon it. This is such a danceable song. You know what we should do? We should write a song for our act with titles of Wii games.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Because everybody knows about the Wii shopping channel,
Yeah.
and everybody loves to shop on it every Wednesday. So what we'll do is we'll write a theme song for the Wii shopping channel. Watch this. Watch this. You can sing to the titles of the Super Mario RPG, Super Mario 3, Mega Man, Neo Turf Masters, Breakin' Star. You know what I mean, Jared?
Yeah.
Like every star, you say the lyrics of the.
Let me try. Super Mario RPG, Sonic the Hedgehog, Donkey Kong 3, Adventures of Lolo 1 and 2, King's Knight, Dig Dug, Juman Fu, Harvest Moon.
Write this song.
Link Puzzle Pokemon, Toe Jam and Earl and Panic on Funkotron. Castlevania, Fatal Fury, Ninja Chuchu, Mario Comet, Razor Blazing, Lasers, Bases Loaded, Mega Turrican, Cybernator, Rolling Thunder, Dynastic Hero, Bubble Bobble, Double Dribble, Dragon F-Zero.
I get it. You memorize the song.
Zero X and Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3, Cruising USA. Wow! No!
Update day. Okay, so where are we here? I had a news release for you, Barry, from August 2019. So let me see here.
Flashback.
Good. We're pre-pandemic here. Set the table.
Everything is nice.
The
easy.
Raptors just won the NBA title.
Oh.
We did it, Barry. Okay.
Toronto is in a perfect state. Freeze it in amber.
That I'll never forget. Going with Hebsy to that parade, and I was on the exhibition side, and then I had the best time, and then I heard from friends who were on the Nathan Phillips Square side who had the worst time. Like it really depended where you were.
I skipped the whole. I was working, although I remember I had to go home after my shift, and I couldn't. The streets were crazy. The subway was insane.
Beautiful June day.
I walked all the way home from the Globe and Mail on King to my parents' place at Yonge and St. Clair, and on the way I encountered my mother, who had also been unable to take the TTC home. And that was when I also told her that my girlfriend and I were having a baby.
Wow!
Yeah. So
what a day!
It was
for the Hertz
a
family.
monumental day.
Hurts so good. Okay, August 2019. CBC Television officially acquired Nirvana the band, the show, from Viceland and began airing the series also streaming it on CBC Gem. And I feel like this is a moment in August 2019 when people are reaching out to me to tell me I should be watching Nirvana the Band, the show on CBC Gem.
And yet you ignore their advice.
I didn't completely ignore. I took a mental note, I should do that. And I think I always intended to do that. And then I never got
You
around
filed
to
it away, and
there's lots going on here, Barry Hertz.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. We're busy.
We're busy people. All right, so I don't know if that's still the case. Like, can you still watch Nirvana the Band, the show on CBC?
I
Gem?
should have fact checked. I believe you cannot. It is not available on Gem. For a while it was, and
Sure.
I would revisit it. Quite
but how does
frequently.
one, if somebody, and I'm not sure, you mentioned the web series is a bit tough to find. You got go find a torrent network. Okay, we don't condone it, but that's how you do it.
If you go in there's a very healthy subreddit community devoted to these guys, and very frequently you can find links and back alley kind of stuff. But legally, it is not available.
But even the Viceland series,
Even the Viceland series, far as I know, certainly not in the United States. And I believe CBC Gem does not carry it as well. Listeners, feel free to fact check me on this and then send me an angry email. But it has been a source of huge, consternation among the fan base, especially with the movie out and people then discovering it.
Yeah.
And like,
Guys
hey,
like me.
where can I watch 30 more hours of this? And like, sorry, can't.
Interesting. See, I have a dear friend. Her name is Stella, and she did hook me up. And I thank Stella for lending me her personal collection of all of this material. But I would think with the buzz around the show, especially since this guy at the Globe and Mail has been raving about this movie for months now, like you'd think they would make this all available somehow. Maybe that is coming.
You
soon.
think, but I would assume it is coming soon. That would be the smart play. I believe very smart people are involved in this, and I think there was a sense perhaps of like waiting to see how hard the movie would hit, and kind of piggyback off that success. But
well, how hard did it hit? Because at the beginning of this conversation, you talked about. I guess Matt Johnson announces when. I guess this is the BlackBerry time. BlackBerry's coming out. I guess this is 2023. Matt Johnson announces that, my next film project is going to be a film based on Nirvana, the band, the show, which, you're very interested in this. You're all over this. And it sounds like they start filming it in 2023. And then you see it for the first time on March 9th, 2025. I had to wait till March 2026 to see it. But I guess I'm wondering, what is my question again? Is it about Matt Johnson, BlackBerry? What was
Genesis
my
of the movie?
Genesis of the
it's
movie.
actually an interesting. It's an interesting story because when I first asked him about it, he was telling me like the plot. He told me whether this was going to be it or not was them going to Europe and doing like they're basically the idea was like they have to become famous overseas in order for the Rivoli to book them. So it was like a road Euro trip kind of movie, and they're like,
we're gonna for Danko Jones.
Yeah, and then that kind of permutated into so there is a Nirvana the band, the show, the movie. A version of this movie which will maybe never be seen. Maybe it will be incorporated into the third season or something. But there was a whole other version of this movie shot, absent the time travel element, in which Matt and Jay do a road trip through the United States. Again, the idea being like, we got to get famous in the States in order so we can get the Rivoli gig. And they went down, they were in New Orleans, they were in Detroit. They filmed all this footage of kind of like them interacting with Americans. And months and months of stuff, and they got back and they kind of was like, you know what, I don't think this is quite big enough for a movie, it's not quite working. And then they eventually got onto the time travel element with the RV.
That's interesting. So they basically scrapped that and let's try this different approach.
Yeah, and I mean they could do that. Not a lot of filmmakers can do that, but they were able to do so because it's a very small scrappy crew. They're working with a very, this was pretty much they like to say it was made entirely with Canadian money, most of it from Telefilm. And, their distributor, I guess producer as well, Elevation Pictures kicked in some as well. And, Johnson and his longtime producer, Matthew Miller, also kicked in their fees to make this happen. But they were able to do it because there wasn't, U.S. studios or financiers breathing down their necks to deliver something. Right. They were able to break stuff and move along and start over and remix and fine tune. And that has been the formula ever since. Like, they are constantly finessing and finicky with this film. Even from the version that played in Austin was not exactly the version that played at the Toronto International Film Festival, which was not exactly the version that opened in theaters, a few months ago.
Interesting. Okay, you're bringing the fun facts here. So I'm going to play the trailer so we can just talk more about this, the actual movie. We finally got to Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. This trailer is brought to you by recyclemyelectronics.ca. If you have old devices, old cables, old, you got old laptops, maybe you got an old BlackBerry phone. Shout out to Matt Johnson. By the way, that movie was exceptional.
I mean, yeah, and the success of that movie was what paved the way to get this movie made, no doubt.
I was shocked by how much I enjoyed BlackBerry, and I don't know why I was shocked. It's just well done, and I really, really enjoyed it. So.
Well, I completely agree. And speaking of alternate versions, have you seen the CBC miniseries version of BlackBerry? Do you know this exists?
I do remember it existing, and I have not seen it because I had already seen the movie. I guess I felt like I didn't need
If you are now part of the Matt Johnson Super Fan Club, you must see it because it is structured entirely differently. And it has I think ultimately maybe about 17 minutes of extra footage. But the structure is episodic, and it's very fascinating to compare it against the feature.
Well, it's funny because this whole premise of all this Nirvana the band stuff is that they want to perform at the Rivoli. And I feel like the future of Toronto Mike is just me wanting Matt Johnson on Toronto Mike. Like, this will just be my pursuit. I'll have
this is your Rivoli. Yeah. What's hairbrained?
What am I looking for?
Hairbrained.
Yeah. Okay. Schemes. Plans every episode. I'm going to try a different approach. How do I get Matt Johnson to come visit my South Etobicoke basement?
You have to call him from the office of Now Magazine.
Right. Oh, no.
Hook up to Brandon.
Well, you know what? The new Now magazine is Michael Hollett's got in the Portlands there, right by, what's the docks? Right by the docks. There's the HQ. What is the name of his new publication?
I know of which you speak, but I feel like it like surfaces and then goes into hibernation like
okay, but I've seen
often.
The HQ. Like, they have a bricks and mortar HQ.
To invest in a brick and mortar HQ for a print publication is quite the decision.
Next magazine.
Next, yes.
And Michael Hollett's been over here. We've talked about it, Next magazine, I think it still exists.
I don't. Sure. Hopefully.
Okay, well, you're at the Globe and Mail. You gotta plead ignorance. You gotta plead ignorance.
Are there other publications other than the Globe and Mail? This is all news to me.
No, I won't tell Keenan you said that when he comes over next quarter. But who? David Ryder's in the calendar. I see coming up. So there's one other publication that I know of. Okay, although I had Warren Kinsella here last week. Apparently, he writes for another publications. So
haven't heard of it. Sure. All the best.
Although I did say, you write for The Sun. And he very quickly, I noticed, and right away he said, I write for Post Media. Like, he didn't like me saying he wrote for The Sun. He writes for Post Media. But come on, we're being very pedantic here.
Yeah. One is the arm of the other.
Right. So recyclemyelectronics.ca is where you go if you have those old electronics. You put in your postal code and find out where you can drop off your tech stuff to be properly recycled. So thank you, recyclemyelectronics.ca. Thank you to Nick Iones. He's the host of Building Toronto Skyline. We record every couple of weeks, and he has a recent live event that I produced. He did a wonderful live conversation with mayoral candidate Brad Bradford. Do you think it's going to be Brad versus Olivia? Are we going to get a third name in the mix here? I know the campaign hasn't officially started yet. But if you had to predict,
I hope we get a third name in the mix. I'll leave it at that.
There's no rumors about a third person. I've been assuming we'll get more big names, but it's so far.
Well, John could change his mind once again. We don't know.
Okay, he could change his mind, but last I heard, he was not going to run.
Is this the point in the episode where I say Matt Johnson for mayor?
Don't tease me like that. Could you imagine?
I could imagine, but he has bigger fish to fry.
Well, okay. Speaking of that, I'm going to play the trailer now, but I notice we do talk a lot about Matt, and we don't actually talk as much about Jay McCarroll.
Yeah.
So let me play the trailer, and then I'll play a bit of a song, and then we'll do a little bit about the movie before I give you that palma pasta lasagna. That's the reason you're here. I know that.
That's the only reason I'm here.
Okay. So this runs about 2 minutes, everybody, but it's worth it. Here we go.
Watch out! Watch out!
What's going on here?
It's just, well, this is actually kind of hard to explain.
Time machine plan. This is going to be the last plan you and I ever have to do. And as far as I'm concerned, Nirvana the band is playing the Rivoli tonight. We have the RV, deck it out like the DeLorean. Ah! So it's a full-time machine! Okay, watch this. Hold on to your butts! The time machine worked, and we are in 2008.
Oh my God. Matt, it's 2008.
I told you! Real goths. We are trapped. How can we use this to get a show at the Rivoli?
No, that's secondary now.
This could have insane ramifications.
Oh, Richard. You really f***ed us up.
I did not do anything. I see. You're like, work's done for the day. We've done too much. It's time to play. I'm like Teen Wolf. A little bit, right? No! Come check us out at the Rivoli later.
Do you have a show at the Rivoli?
We could be playing any day. Right off the bat, they're gonna ask for an encore.
Hold on for now.
No! Ladies and gentlemen, you're probably wondering who we are. We are Nirvana the band. If you're watching this in theaters, thank your lucky stars.
It's a bop, Barry.
A total bop. And that's a good segue to talk about Jay.
Yeah, that's well. Listen, what do you think I'm doing over here? I said,
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
We talked about what Matt did between the series and then the movie, but we got to talk about what's Jay up to before the movie. And then this segues beautifully into the movie, but what are we listening to, Barry Hertz?
I mean, we are listening to Never Come Down, which is the single that Jay made with his sister as part of their band
Brave Shores.
And, I mean, yeah, it's a bop. And so they, I mean, it had some degree of significant success when it was released. Yeah, for sure. And the way that the movie recontextualizes it as this world-conquering hit is, pretty brilliant. And it also introduces a whole new audience to Jay's music. So, I mean, Jay's been, a very, I would say, in-demand Canadian composer and musician for Canadian film and television, while all of this stuff is building. And, he did the music for the film, which is a brilliant riff on a lot of the Alan Silvestri score for Back to the Future.
And it's worth noting that comment at the end of the trailer, Matt Johnson says something like, if you're watching this in a theater, thank your lucky stars, because they actually don't just play a riff on it, they play it.
Yeah. I mean, but with slightly
but they joke that they'll never be able to. We'll never be able to release this movie. They make a joke about how they're never going to be able to release this movie because they're not paying for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, that joke played really well at the Austin premiere. I can tell you that because people actually took it to heart. But again, they have a very good lawyer. But yeah, Jay needs his very due credit because he's as much a part of this as anybody else. What I really love about the movie is that Jay is kind of the lead. This is Jay's story.
Right.
Jay is achieving his dream.
Right.
It's nice that for the Canadian Screen Award nominations, Jay is nominated for Best Lead Actor and Matt is Best Supporting in a comedy. So they submitted it with him as the lead. And it's a great meta commentary too, because, so often the conversation can be about Matt and what he is doing. And, BlackBerry had Matt front and center in it. And now we get this movie in which the Matt character is chasing the celebrity fumes of the Jay character. So it's I don't know.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. The guys have a great sense of that relationship and the give and take that's involved. And I mean, Jay is a great actor. He's funny. He's got a very difficult role because the Matt role, he's the joker, he's the prankster, he's the merry mischief maker, and Jay has to be somewhat of the aggrieved party sometimes, but sometimes he still has this like kid-like enthusiasm, is like, okay, that's a fun plan, I'll go along with it, and only to end up crushed in the end.
Okay. Absolutely. Now here's a little mind blow for you, Barry Hertz, if you want to tie it all together. This just struck me here. So Jay McCarroll, great musician. He was in Hayden's band. Do you know Hayden?
Yeah, of course.
So I actually have his hat here. Things are
Hayden's
as bad
hat.
as they seem. Hayden dropped by and gave me this hat. Things are as bad as they seem. As Bad as They Seem was the big single from that big first Hayden album. And the video for As Bad as They Seem, which was played on Much Music early and often, was recorded at the Rivoli.
Dun dun dun. I mean, what I love about talking about the series and just like digging into it is the interconnected web of Toronto artists that are involved. We haven't even gotten around to talking about Jared Rabb, the cinematographer for the series.
Well,
and
tell
for the
me
film.
about this.
And he is, he's ostensibly a character in the movie, in this whole cinematic universe, let's say, because it's not just like an unknown presence is filming these guys. Like, it is Jared. They name check him directly several times. When they time travel, there's a younger Jared in the background. And, Jared Rabb has done tons of music, shot tons of music videos, tons of other films. The Born Ruffians, who also play, the members of that band play Jay's backing band in the series. Some of the members were in Blackberry as the engineer. Like, there's this whole like, if you were to like kind of do a flow chart, or like, I'm thinking of that, meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie Day in front of the board. You could do that with like Matt and Jay at the center and just how it spins off. So like, there's so many people.
Let's do that, Barry.
Well, I don't know. Like, I could go on for. There's so many people who don't necessarily get like the spotlight in bringing this whole thing together. And so there's Jared. There's Matthew Miller, who's the producer and who's been with the guys like forever and does the real hard work of getting this stuff out in the world. There's Matt Grayson, who's another producer, and there's Vicky Lean. There's oh my god, I'm forgetting some names, like Adam Belanger, who was the production designer for Blackberry and did such a wonderful job there. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And I know I'm forgetting people, and if they're listening, they're like, "How could you forget me?" And I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry. What a banger! Okay,
I will sing you an apology later.
So interestingly, in the movie, which if you haven't seen it yet, now I think this is like the greatest promo for the movie we've ever done here, and it's unpaid. I'll point out, no money exchanged hands here.
There is no
Just
money,
pasta.
not even that, but they didn't get no pasta. This is just you
you're
and me
right,
a pasta.
Because the next 10 years of Toronto Mic'd is me trying to get Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll on Toronto Mic'd. Like, that is going to be the premise for the next 10 years of this podcast.
I like it.
My great fear is they're willing to do it next week, and I'm like, no.
No, we gotta build the tension.
10 years from now, you can do it, and that'll be the final episode of Toronto Mic'd. But there's a scene where you see, because they recontextualize that song we just played by Brave Shores as Jay McCarroll's big worldwide hit, and he's playing it at what just changed names again. We knew it as the Molson Amphitheater. It became the Budweiser Stage, and you know what it is now? It's the RBC Amphitheater.
I thought it was going to be like, isn't it like Doug Ford's airport now?
Well, it's only got like a year, I think, and it's going to be demolished is what I think is going to happen there, and they're going to build a new one at Ontario Place, but don't get me started on that. I'll save that for Ed Keenan. But they filmed that because I think it was an Arkell show. I believe it was an Arkell show, and then they filmed the Jay McCarroll playing that song in front of the crowd. And so you got that venue, but I'm just going to name check a few things in here and then ask you a question I've been wondering. But okay, so of course, the CN Tower plays a key role in this movie.
Big role, yeah.
The Skydome plays a key role in this movie.
Skydome. Do they name check it as ever the Rogers
No,
Center?
I didn't hear Rogers
okay,
Center.
Me neither.
I think it was always Skydome. So Skydome, which is what I like to call
the
it.
Skydome, the Skydive plan.
Right. Which is unbelievable how they filmed that too. Like it was, I thought they did such for a budget. Like I don't know what the budget of this movie was.
It was about $5 million.
Yeah, like for $5 million,
And remember, this includes like the other entire movie that was filmed and never seen.
What value? Okay, so Skydome, CN Tower, of course, the Rivoli. That's key to all of this. But the TTC plays a key role. But CP24. Has a key role. Anyone who's ever gone to a coffee shop or a pizza joint has seen some CP24.
The Paradise Theater plays a key role.
Right? Paradise Theater, right? Because they're watching the film Hangover.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But But also, let's shout out two FOTMs, Roz and Mocha.
Oh, Roz and Mocha. I will tell. Okay, so going into Austin last year, I was still carrying a one-sided beef with Roz and Mocha because I just loathed the pre-show clips that they had recorded for TIFF the previous fall in 2020. I just thought they were so awful, and I was like, Roz and Mocha, you've poisoned the film festival, and you have turned the city of Toronto and anyone who has visited Toronto for the film festival against you. And then I was told, it's like, wait. You're gonna love Roz and Mocha again. I was like, nothing could make me turn that tide. And the person who told me was right. And I was like, Roz and Mocha, redeemed
all over this movie, Roz and Mocha. My goodness. And there's like allusions to things that are very Toronto, even though they're known beyond Toronto. But like the Drake.
Oh, the Drake Mansion, another key location. Yeah, I mean, that was somewhat semi-spoiled for me when the shooting actually happened, because again, like I know a couple people who like follow this even more intensely than I do. And they sent me like screenshots of CP24 with like Matt running around in the background. Right. I was like, oh my God, what are they doing?
So, I mean, like I said off the top here, it was unabashedly Toronto in every sense. So now, a couple of things you might know due to your role at the Globe and Mail. What's that title again?
Film editor and chief film writer.
Okay. And how many times has the Globe let you write about these guys?
We can say enough times, but I would gladly write about them even more.
Okay, stay tuned. So here's a couple of like quick hit. One question is, how did this movie do? Did it do well?
It did very well.
Okay,
I mean,
I have no sense of this anymore.
Well, yeah. So I published a piece about 2 or 3 weeks ago, digging into like the general state of the Canadian box office, because it is it is like a black box of information generally. Like as Canadians, we all get, inundated with press reports on like Sunday evening or Monday, for those who are paying attention, about like the weekend box office in North America. Right. And like Project Hail Mary made, $60 million or something. We never hear about what's happening inside of Canada, films that are either just released in Canada or are Canadian and are also released in the States. Short story is not Blackberry. Nirvana on its opening weekend in Canada, I believe, made $345,000, which is a very good amount for a Canadian film playing in Canadian theaters. And it, in fact, was the highest English language live action debut for a Canadian film since, guess which movie?
Wait, a Canadian film?
Canadian, yeah. English language. Okay. Live action.
Oh, give me a second to think on this for. I'm kind of blanking on this one. Okay, help me out.
It's a trick question. It's Blackberry. It's the biggest since Blackberry.
Damn it, Barry. Let's redo that. I'll fix it in post. Ask me again. Okay.
What do you think was the last film before this that was the biggest English language live action Canadian title at the box office?
Barry, it's got to be Blackberry.
You are right. You win. I'm giving you back my La Palma pasta. So, that goes to show the power of these guys.
Right.
And since then, I believe it has topped out. It's still actually playing in theaters. It's still, even though it is available digitally to own.
Right.
It's still playing in theaters. But I believe it's kind of topped out at 1.2 million Canada and about 4.5 North America, $1 million. And that's just theatrical, right? So that's not taking into account, that's theatrical North America. That's not taking into account, it's opened in New Zealand. I believe it's opened in Australia. It's opening in other markets. Still, the digital revenue is obviously to come. They inked a deal with Crave for streaming in Canada before it went theatrical. So that's like this will make its money back and then some.
Good.
But in terms of a Canadian film, for any Canadian movie to break 500,000 at the box office, let alone 1 million, let alone more than 1 million, that's an English language movie. Quebec is its own kind of unique.
They got
thing.
their own industry.
They have their own
just
star
ask
system.
Rock
They have
Voisin, who just got inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and I was thinking, I know this name forever. I couldn't name a single Rock Voisin, but he's massive.
He's massive. Yeah. So like, Matt and Jay are the Canada's Rock Voisin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you name a Rock Voisin song?
No. Maybe I could, like, if you played me like 3 clips, I could guess which one was the Rock.
I went through his greatest hits this morning.
Oh wow, okay.
And I thought there was one name I thought I recognized called Helena, like it's a French Helene, I guess. And then I said, I think I recognize this name, but no, nothing.
Yeah.
Not one Rock Voisin song resonated with me that I said, I remember that song.
Oh well. Anyway,
to your point, Quebec is like an
Quebec is its own
industry.
Separate industry. They often enough have $1 million
like
success
Le Boys
stories.
and all those.
The Le Boys franchise is huge there, or it was. I think they got up to number 3. But it's a big deal.
Right.
This film is a big deal for the industry. It's a big deal for Canada at large.
I love it because I love that this these guys, these Toronto guys, they film this thing. I saw a quote from Olivia Chow where because I guess they did break like filming rules.
I mean, there's the area is gray in terms of the guerrilla filmmaking tactics. But I was at that Toronto International Film Festival premiere, just a row in front of Olivia Chow, who was there and who was laughing very enthusiastically throughout. And by the way, this was a midnight show. It didn't get out until like
she's got lots of energy.
She's got a lot of energy.
Twice Bradford's age, but she might have twice Bradford's energy.
Exactly. I think she was also sitting next to Carrie Elwes, who was in the crowd.
What's he doing here?
Well, he was at Toronto for the premiere of one of his new films, the Gus Van Sant movie, Dead Man's Wire, I believe. Anyways, he was at TIFF for his own related purposes, but he, of course, was in Blackberry. He played a supporting role there, and he was friends with Neve Fishman, who was one of the producers of Blackberry, and Neve was like, Carrie, come with me and Olivia to this premiere, and we'll have fun, and they did.
Gus Van Sant loves to film here, too, right? Because
Goodwill Hunting, yeah. And wasn't Finding Forrester also here?
Pound the keys.
You're the man now, dog.
Yes, right, which became the meme. But I saw that movie, and I believe it's the movie where I guess Sean Connery is giving advice on how to write or something, and he says it's time. I never forgot it. Like it bounces around my head regularly because I'm always having to write something. I haven't yet let AI write all my shit yet.
Good, keep it away.
Does AI write your stuff for the Globe?
I am an AI antagonist.
Resistance? Oh, antagonist.
And
okay.
yeah, I have never touched ChatGPT. I don't even know how.
My wife's all into it, but she works for a big bank, which may or may not have naming rights on that amphitheater. But they where like she gets these subscriptions, and she like for a job she has to get into it, and she actually uses it a lot. And I literally I won't even touch it to write a description. Like it's like no, I actually I like to use my brain, and then here's a line from Sean Connery. I never forgotten. I already said it, but I'll do it again. Pound the keys. So I have to pound the keys. That's how I write.
Could AI ever write a line of dialogue like pound the keys? I don't think so.
Who's the dog now? Okay. Geez. And Carrie Ellis, that's a mind blow too. But yeah, Olivia Chow, I was reading her quote. I don't know. It's part of the fun, I think, is that they just sort of like the romantic traffic video. It's like, get a camera and let's shoot this thing. But I remember reading that they filmed that TTC's, that streetcar scene. They did it the day that Taylor Swift was playing the Skydome. and therefore they felt they could do it because all the cops and all the security was busy over there. Did you hear that?
I heard that. I'm
True or false, Barry Hertz?
I don't know. I'm questioning the truthiness.
I'm
of
the
that,
truther. I am
anecdote.
the Taylor Swift truther.
It's a great anecdote, though.
Don't print the legend. We don't print the legend around here. All right, so on our way out, in the movie, there is some D8. I'll call it, I can't call it that because it's not that, but basically it would be scenes of these guys in like 2007 or 8 or 9. No, maybe, I don't know what it is, but it's the young versions of them.
The young versions, yes.
Right. And then, you think, oh, well, they de-aged Harrison Ford for a terrible Indiana Jones. Worst I actually had to turn it off. It was awful.
But that opening sequence was the best part of that movie.
That might be true because who got beyond that? Like
very, very, very few.
And it had the Fleabag lady, so I was kind of into.
Oh, she was not good.
No, but Fleabag was amazing
for sure. But she's not a lot of subsequent hits for Phoebe Waller. Yeah,
right. Who always got confused with the singer, anyways.
Yes,
right? Bridger. Or whatever. Okay, so we're all over the place. We should do more episodes together. When they announce the sequel, I'm going to get you back here, but. They just had this footage. Like, it was kind of fascinating how they put it together.
So the genesis of it actually is that their editors, who I should have mentioned earlier, Kurt Loeb and Robert Upchurch, were kind of tasked with going through all the old web series footage to see how they could kind of manipulate it for a new movie. Right. And they stumbled up. I think the kind of breakthrough moment was they saw the footage of Matt and Jay walking down Queen Street, and Matt says, "Is like, do those guys look like us?" And they're just kind of continuing it on,
right?
And that was like, we could go back. We could use this as the Back to the Future it was just like an off the cuff kind of thing, and that was like, okay, now we have the locus point for this thing to recontextualize it in the Back to the Future way. That's a Back to the Future 2 moment more than anything else, because we, remember Michael goes and sees like the old Michael.
I remember.
And they're, it's Zemeckis like recontextualizing the thing, which is a really brilliant thing and kind of blew my mind when I first saw it. So that's how it happened. But I've had people come out and say like, so like how, like what kind of like crazy effects did they do to like de-age these guys? Or like even one person was like, how did they find guys to cast who look exactly like they would? I was like, no, you don't, like this is them. And the way they intersperse like that scene where, Jay's watching the TV and he's like, oh, swine flu or swine flu. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Avian flu. Yeah. It's like,
bird flu.
Maybe they'll have to invent a vaccine. It's just like, you can't make that stuff up. It's just like so lucky. And
well,
it's a genius feat of like the editing that was involved in this movie is a superheroic feat on the part of Kurt and Bobby. So
will this movie clean up at the next Canadian Screen Awards?
Well, controversy, slightly, is that it's not nominated for Best Editing. I believe this is because Bobby is American, and there's a new rule instituted this year after last year's controversy, in which a bunch of Americans and Europeans cleaned up at the awards that you have to be a Canadian citizen to be nominated. It did get nominated for, I believe, 8 Canadian Screen Awards, which is not the leading contender. 40 Acres by R.T. Thorne, the post-apocalyptic thriller, which I quite liked, and I really love R.T.'s work. That got 11 nominations, so that's technically the leader going into the CSAs this year. Will Nirvana? Nirvana still got nods for all the major categories, including Best Picture. It also got nominated for Best Song for the ABC rap that Matt does.
Oh God! All right. That's funny.
Which is probably like the greatest nomination in the history of the Canadian Screen Awards. Will it win? I don't know. Blackberry, of course, swept and set the record for the number of Canadian Screen Award wins a few years back.
Was that Trump movie Canadian?
Yeah, well, so The Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Yeah, it's a Canadian co-pro. Okay. There's a bunch of other territories here. It was, a Canadian production company was very heavily involved in it, Daniel Beckerman's company. So it was considered Canadian that way. It was shot here. A lot of it was shot here. But yeah, I mean, Sebastian Stan, not Canadian. Jeremy Strong, not Canadian.
No, that's true.
Subject matter as about un-Canadian as you can
Right.
get. So I would love to see.
It just felt Canadian. Like, it felt Blackberry-esque.
Yeah. And what I would give to put Jeremy Strong and Matt and Jay in a room together would be magic, I feel. But I digress. We'll see if it triumphs at the CSAs. Maybe there's a sense of like this movie has won already in the hearts and minds of the world, that a CSA would be like too much. There, sometimes Canadians can be like that.
Well, I noticed the Junos is sort of like that. It's like,
it's the Drake situation.
The Drake weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's give it to some lesser known artist or whatever. So hearing you describe how the editors get the old footage and work it into the new thing, and it becomes a bit of a mind blow when you watch it. Like I had to watch it multiple times. It's kind of a mind blow, but it almost makes you think like these guys are like, they're playing 3D chess here, and it's like the film Boyhood or something. Like, they've been filming this for decades.
And that's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like an accidental Boyhood, but like the other thing is the way these guys shoot is they shoot tons and tons and tons of material, and they're never satisfied. So there's reams and reams of, video and archival material to play around with.
So Barry Hertz, this met my expectations. I want to make sure we didn't leave anything. I would say
I'm sure we left like tons.
Like, is there any like honor? So again, I won't play us out until I feel we've drained the swamp here. But are there any big things you think we should you have in your big brain there about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, that would blow our minds or would be interesting to the listenership?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
I'm putting you on the spot.
There's so. I mean, I just want to. I want to expand that web a little bit in terms of collaborators, because it's not just like the Nirvana and the Blackberry and the Dirties and like that product. It's, like Matt has worked with, Kazik Radwanski, who has done Matt and Mara and a lot of very acclaimed, very low budget Canadian films. The production company that they have, Zapruder, that they were responsible for getting Chandler Levack's Smile and Kicks out into the world. There is, Ben Petrie, who plays one of the, how would you describe it? One of like Matt's new bandmates in the future, or the alternate future, and was also an engineer in Blackberry. Like, he has done amazing work with his wife and creative partner Grace Golicki, including Dead Lover, which was also at Austin. And it was wonderful actually to be in Austin for that moment where all the Canadians were kind of congregating around each other and supporting each other. So the one night, on the Sunday night, I believe, was the Nirvana premiere and everybody there. And then the whole Nirvana team was at the Dead Lover premiere the following night on the Monday.
Love it.
So it's just
like the Olympics or something.
Yeah, it's this. It is this web of interconnectivity and creativity and support that's really lovely to see. And then the other thing, is just, the future.
Yeah.
Matt's got a film in the can. Basically, his Tony Bourdain movie with Dominic Sessa, who was the star of The Holdovers from a few years ago, playing a 20-something Anthony Bourdain. That is,
I like The Holdovers.
Yeah, me too. And that guy is great, Dominic Sessa. He's got a really great, interesting energy to him. And so that movie is going to be coming out this year. It's from A24, which is a big,
everything
hotshot.
A24 I enjoy because it's just weird enough.
Yeah. So I mean, he's really, the whole team is breaking in to the global film ecosystem, and that one's it's produced with Matt Miller, his longtime producer as well. I believe Kurt and Bobby are also the editors on that Tony movie. There's another long in the works movie that the guys are working on that is a Toronto journalism movie, which, hopefully will star Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. He's working on a Magic the Gathering adaptation for Legendary, which is a huge production company out of the States, out of Hollywood. There's a lot of things in the future is looking very exciting. And it's very exciting not only for those guys, but for the rest of the Canadian film landscape.
And super exciting for Toronto. I feel like these guys always represent, and we're proud of them. So I feel like we had this pride for Drake, and then at some point we're like, no, Go away. we have our new representatives here in Nirvana, the band. Now, I asked you this off the top, but now that we've really set the table on our way out here, it's playing us a cover, Rob Pru's cover of a song from Shakespeare My Butt, which is 35 years old now, and that's a Lowest of the Low song that I've loved for 35 years, and I could hear them playing that at the Rivoli. I actually watched the Lowest of the Low documentary premiere at the Rivoli. It's all about the Rivoli here. So my question is, so with my Toronto brain, born in St. Joe's, lived here my whole life, I'm watching this movie. It's so Toronto. I love it. So how like does the rest of Canada embrace it even 70% of how Toronto embraces it? How are they embracing this thing in like Los Angeles? If you're not an expat, I don't expect you to know exactly how it could, be viewed for a Chicago-born person. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, is this best enjoyed if you speak Toronto, or is this a global thing? And in Australia, they're going to enjoy it just as much?
I've seen some pretty passionate, verging on rabid reactions to this movie from fans in Australia, overseas. Right. I know the Londoners are dying to get their hands on this. I don't think there's been a release date kind of formalized there or set, and they're very upset.
Don't piss off the Londoners.
I know a lot of people. When I was down in LA for Fast and Furious book stuff in January, and I talked with people there, and they were very excited to see it. It's got, I know U.S. journalists, friends of mine, who have gone to see it and were like just blown away. It is a success. Does it work at its highest level if you speak Torontonian? Probably. But it is
sure. Like Roz and Mocha will just be two radio people.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But you get it. Like there's a universality to it. It is about friendship and growing up and trying to separate yourself from the immature person that you were to the person you want to be. And there's lots of things that are extremely relatable no matter what city or country or language you grew up with. But for Torontonians, it is a seminal piece of cinema.
Torontonians have no excuse, okay?
If you are in Toronto, you need to go watch. And you can. It's still playing at the Carlton, I think.
Okay. Steve's Music Shop closed. You know this. It was Steve's Music Store, but it's got a lot of. I guess it was the that first episode of the Viceland series with the penis.
Yeah, the billboard. Yeah.
Which there's a lot of Steve's. I think we need to preserve that sign. I'm just throwing this into the abyss.
We can preserve the. We've preserved the Sam sign.
Yeah, we preserve the Sam sign. We preserve. They got to preserve the CP, the truck, but they got to bring it back to the original
color scheme,
which was City Pulse.
Yeah, City
Pulse.
But
not get rid of the CP24 part. Just bring it back to the City Pulse, the original. We keep that. The 1050 Chum sign on Yonge there, I think they preserve that. The Honest Ed sign, I don't know where it is. It's in storage, but it's been...
Maybe Matt and Jay have it. I don't know.
Okay, I got some ideas here. But I think the Steve's Music Store sign, like seeing it made me realize, it's still there. I just biked by it yesterday. But I don't know how long that's going to be there. They shut down the store.
Silver Dollar sign still exists.
You know what? All the signs. Yeah. Where is it? I just did maybe...
Silver Dollar?
Well, no, there's a sign that was preserved. Maybe J-Ho will tell me later. Okay, so let me just ask you this question at the end here. So we talked a lot about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, and Nirvana, the band, the show, and Nirvana, the band. And I think we hyped it up enough. We both love it so very, very much. I really appreciate you, Barry Hertz, being my subject matter expert, because you were there from the beginning, and I just jumped on this bandwagon. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Paul Thomas Anderson just won his first Oscar for direction. So my question is, which film do you prefer? Boogie Nights or Magnolia?
Oh, Boogie Nights.
I agree, but you liked Magnolia.
I like Magnolia. I have a very strong memory of dragging my friends to see it at the Richmond Hill Silver City.
Two great films, but maybe it's because I just played music from on a Toast episode with Rob Pruce and Bob Willett. I just played music from Boogie Nights, that scene with the 99 red balloons and the Jesse's girl and
Alfred Molina scene.
And that scene, is so fucking good. And the music they play, what's the Big Jam
It's Motorhead, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, Motorin, what's your price for life? Whatever. Yeah, that one, which I'm not singing very well. But what a scene. What a movie. Boogie Nights. It gets better with age, I think. It's amazing.
It's one of those films that if I'm traveling and I'm in a hotel and I'm flipping channels and I come across it, I'm staying.
It's like two movies, because you got Until Something Happens with William H. Macy. Until that, it's
spoiler
one movie.
alert.
There's no spoiler. Something
For a
things happen to
30-year-old
everybody.
movie.
But there's that movie, and then there's the other movie. Who do you think is saying subdivisions in the Rush song Subdivisions? Do you think it's Mark Daly or is it Neil Peart?
Now I want to say Mark Daly.
That is correct, sir.
Bring it back to City Pulse.
Everywhere. And that, trying to get this out on my way out here. Let's see if I can nail this.
The following program contains adult themes, nudity, and coarse language. Viewer and parental discretion is advised.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,890th show, 1890. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Buy an Elmo ticket or two. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Nick Ianni's, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you tomorrow. Colin Cripps is kicking out the jams.